Hello, Chris and all. Welcome back. Thanks for joining me. Now, I've got a bit of an issue today because you know how I normally start these vlogs off. I say hello, welcome, and today I'm at such and such a place. Well, where I am today has got so many names, I'm struggling to pick one for the intro. Now, the vast majority of people, for some reason, call it Angel Bay. But that's not the name of this place. It's in very popular use, but there are more names to it and more history behind it. So please join me and we'll have a walk around this headland just off the North Wales coast, just off the village of Bae Penrhyn, Penrhyn Bay, and we'll have a look at the names attached to this peninsula.
Sy'n agosau, diffodd mae'r haul yn cefio I ffwrdd. Mae'r glaw yn disgyn, sefyll uwch ben mae'n haws i'w gweld, yr hyn sy'n cuddio o'r ddim ni. Mae amser yn parhau, gwenad eich dagrau nhw.
Right, yeah, so we're in Bae Penrhyn, Penrhyn Bay. Penrhyn Bay just being a translation of Bae for Bay, very similar. Penrhyn. Penrhyn means a peninsula or a headland, and that's where I am now, in the little peninsula that juts out into the sea between Penrhyn Bay and Llandudno. And unfortunately the name Angel Bay seems to be the one that everybody uses for here. But if you ask them why it's called Angel Bay, nobody seems to know. There's no real explanation for it. Certainly haven't seen any angels here. But by all accounts, the reason it's called Angel Bay is that when the sun shines from a particular direction, the little bay where we're going to now, it casts a shadow onto the sea which look like angel wings. So I'm not sure if the sun's in the right direction today, but we'll have a look anyway. But yeah, it's the shadow that's cast into the sea when the sun's in a certain direction that looks like angel wings. That's why it's called Angel Bay, and sadly that's the name that's stuck. So there's 3 names already. We've only just started. So you've got Bae Penrhyn, Penrhyn Bay, Angel Bay. But as we have a look and explore, we'll get to hear about a few more names. Right, I'm stood now at the furthest point in a place called Penrhyn Bay. More about that in a second. But it's worth mentioning whilst I'm in this spot. You can see the bays behind me. I'll get the camera there. Now, the nearest bay is Penrhyn, and then the furthest bay is Penrhyn Bay. Penrhyn Bay named after the river Penrhyn. And Colwyn was an old ancient Welsh name for a young animal of any denomination, be it a cow or a lamb or a dog or a kitten. And so named the river because of the movement. The movement is lively like a young animal. So yeah, Colwyn, a young animal, a pup or a calf or whatever. And then the bay nearest us is Penrhyn. Penrhyn is a made-up name. It's half Welsh, half English. Penrhyn. I'm told that name was invented or created in order to try and entice English holidaymakers to the area, all for tourism. But the main name makes no sense because the horse means a moorland on sea. You can't get moorland on the sea, can you? His correct name is Llandrillo and Rhos, so the Church of St Trillo on the moorland. But there's no moorland there either. So where does the Rhos come into it? Well, Rhos, in actual fact, was a large area, what's known as a cantre. The cantre was an old administrative system in Wales, where tref was the ancient Welsh word for settlement. Now it means town, and can, short for cant, 100 towns, and that's how Wales was governed and ruled, 100 towns. So the name for the cantre here was Rhos, but it stretches all the way down to the Conwy Valley and onto Mynydd Hiraethog, and on Mynydd Hiraethog you will find the moorland. So that's what the name comes from. So don't come here looking for a moorland, you won't find it. Now, the interesting thing about Llandrillo and Rhos is that it's believed that that is where Madog ap Owain Griffiths, Madog ap Owain Gwynedd, I know where Griffiths came from, Madog ap Owain Gwynedd, Madog the son of Owain Gwynedd, the then Prince of Wales, sailed off in 3 ships, and it's told that he discovered America about 300 years before Columbus. Is there evidence of that? Well, there is some conjecture that some buildings have been found in America, which date correctly, which have the footprint of Castell Elen. Castell Elen is a castle in Dolwydd Elen, not far from Blaenau Ffestiniog, and that's where Madog spent his childhood. And they say that those buildings in America had the footprint of Castell Elen, and that's offered up as proof that he was there before Columbus. But we'll never know, I guess. Anyway, I'm standing now on the headland which is known as Trwyn of Uwch. Now, Trwyn means nose, but in geographical terms it means peak. So buwch means cow, so the cow's peak, or the cow's point. Now, I've heard some explanations of people saying, oh, that it looks like a cow's nose from the sea. Nonsense. It doesn't at all. But the reason it's called Trwyn of Uwch, it gives a clue as to why people come here. And there are loads and loads and loads of them come here. And they come to visit this bay below my feet now. Let me just spin the camera around, you can have a look. Okay, a short bay there. You can't see much, I'll try and get some better photographs. But that bay is called Porth Dinewiaid. Porth means gateway, port, entrance. And Dinewiaid is an ancient Welsh word for a young calf, the calf under 1 year of age. So what's all that about? So we've got cow's point, and then we've got young calf. Well, I'm not sure if you can see, but down there, at this moment in time, there are about 20 or 30 seals. And seals in Welsh are called morlo. Morlo, mor meaning sea, and llo meaning calf. So they are sea calves. And they've been coming here for centuries. And clearly, Trwyn of Uwch and Porth Dinewiaid refers to that. Because obviously we refer to a female seal as a cow, or a buwch, and a male seal as a tarw, or a bull. So they take on their bovine names. So yeah, Porth Dinewiaid and Trwyn of Uwch, giving a clue as to the presence of these seals here, well, for centuries really. So there's another couple of names for this area. Right, we're going to have a walk up this steep hill and have a look up there, get away from this wind. Time to walk up this steep hill. Steep hill in Welsh is known as a rhyw, but I'll wait till I get to the top until I talk more about that. Because I'll be out of breath in no time. See you at the top. I'm about halfway up. I just stopped here on this terrace. We've just seen here behind me. Where are you? There. old gun turrets, because during the Second World War the Royal Artillery had a training school here, firing missiles into the sea for practice. And also you see behind me here evidence of quarrying, and there was quarrying here for some considerable time. So yeah, I'm glad I didn't film myself coming up, because it's quite a grassy slope and it's quite wet, and I slipped down about 3 or 4 times, so I'm glad I missed that one. Yeah, so we're on the first terrace now. I'm going to get my breath back, have a cup of tea, and make my way up to the top. But the terrace is a bit of a clue as to one of the names that we'll discuss in a little while. Anyway, Penrhyn and then up to the top. Right folks, I'm having a bit of a disaster, a bit of a nightmare. I walked to the top of the hill, done some footage up there, and I've had to come back down into the shelter of this quarry on the second terrace. I got to the top there, blowing an absolute gale. I've got the drone with me, so hoping to do some footage, hasn't worked. Then the batteries ran out, and then I found that the SD card was full. So it was a bit of a wasted journey, but there we are. We've come back down now, charged up some batteries, put a new SD card, and here we go again. I'm not walking back up the hill again. Now, you've heard me use the word hill a couple of times, because I'm not subtle. Now, if you're an English speaker and you're watching this with a Welsh speaker, just have a look at their faces when I mention the word hill. You might see a little bit of a smile on their faces, because it's also the Welsh word for sex. But in this case, it's hill. And this area is known as Rhywledyn. That's its official Welsh name, Rhywledyn. But what is a ledyn? Or in actual fact, it should be who is a ledyn, because it comes from the name Lledyn. And Lledyn appears in the Mabinogi, which are the medieval books about Welsh mythology, and in particular from the Book of Triads. And she was reputed to be one of the 3 most beautiful women in the whole island of Britain. And legend has it that she's buried a few miles west of here in Diganwy. So it's Lledyn's Hill. Rhywledyn is the official name. Now, you may not have heard of that, although it does appear in the maps, but you will possibly have heard of the Little Orme, because that's where I am, on the Little Orme. The Great Orme is the far side in Llandudno. The Little Orme is this side of Llandudno, because it's just over the hill there. Orme is a Nordic word, and it means serpent's head or worm's head, and that's where the word worm comes from Orme. But the Ormes in Welsh are known as the Gogarth. Now, garth, the second part of that word, always causes issues really, because there are so many possible meanings to garth. We've heard it before with Garth Celyn, wooded slope. But it can also mean terracing or ridging. And it's believed that that's where the garth refers to. You can see here in some of the footage that we've got some terracing here. I'm actually sat on a terrace now, and the Great Orme is no different. So it's likely to mean terraces. Go is Welsh for fairly, pretty, quite. So quite big, quite steep. Go fawr, go llethrog, and so on and so forth. So Gwe's fairly steep, and so on and so forth. So fairly terraced, potentially what Gogarth means. So here, Little Orme is known as a Gogarth Fach, the small orme or the Little Orme, Gogarth Fach, also known as Pen y Gogarth, the end of the Gogarth. So the Gogarth being on one end in Llandudno, and this being the tail end of it. So there you are. So we've already got a number of names there. Unfortunately, almost everybody refers to it as Angel Bay and the Little Orme. but they miss out on some of the history there. Trwyn of Uwch and the seals, Porthnewiaid and the seals there. Lliw Ledyn going back to the Mabinogi. So if you can use those names, great. At least you know what they mean now. Now, I've been looking at this quarry. I was hoping on my tails there. I was looking for a particular cave. I haven't found it. I've given up and come back down. And I wanted to find it really. And if you know where it is, place something in the comments. But this particular cave is significant. It's somewhere here on the Little Orme, on the Gogarth, and it goes back to the times of the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, when the Catholics were on the rise, and it was massively frowned upon, and it went underground. The spreading of the word, the Catholic word, went underground. And here in the cave, a printing press was brought, and lots of literature was printed and circulated undercover. And therefore here on the Gogarth is where the first words ever in Welsh were printed. Here somewhere, can't find it, but that's amazing. So that's more history again. So this place is steeped with history, whereas Angel Bay refers to a shadow. So there we are. Anyway, I'm sorry it didn't go as planned, and it's quite talky, this one, but I hope it's been of some interest to you and that you enjoyed it. If you do, consider pressing like and subscribing. We're about 10 sleeps from Christmas, and Sean Conn coming. So Nadolig llawen to you all. I hope you and your families have a wonderful Christmas, and we'll see you on the other side. Diolch yn fawr am wylio. Thanks for watching. Hwyl fawr.